What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the lack of content recently. I've been pushing out a lot of private work now before December, before everyone goes on holiday and all those kind of good things. I myself am going on holiday over December, so there's definitely not going to be content for about 3 weeks. That's not going to stop us from doing some stuff now. Today, I'm going to show you how to make DIY bucket seat mounts for your MK1 Golf. I'm not quite sure where we last left off. I have been doing things here and there in the background. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to flip the camera around and show you guys exactly where we stand at this moment in time. Let's get to it. Right, so as you can see, I eventually went and picked up these 3D printed gauge pods. This is for the center vents and that's for the driver's side air vent. I don't have a blower motor in my car, so I don't really need the vents to be there. That's why this one is solid. I've just got some primer on these. I'm going to spray it black and then we're going to fit it in the car once it's all dry. I have checked that all the gauges do fit, so that's not going to be an issue. I'm very excited to see how that turns out. Over here, this towel's just to protect the motor. So while I've been doing all these welding jobs, yesterday I actually bent this bar up and put these end plates on here and cut it all nicely. That's going to be how that ends up sitting over there. I'm quite happy with it. It is all going to be painted, made to look nice, so I just need to do all the final welds on those, but I'm very happy with that idea that I came up with. Everything else hasn't changed in the engine bay at all, so there's nothing to really talk about over there. And over here in the car, I actually have already made one mount for this driver side bucket seat. As you can see, it's very solid. So what I'm going to do today, I have to make a second mount for that side. I'll walk you guys through the entire process. And then once those brackets have been made and the seats are all mounted and in, that will be one more thing ticked off the list. You can see over there, that's where that center gauge pod is going to go, in that vent there. And then the small one is going to be around here. There's a few small other things which I need to do. I need to put a breather onto my fuel tank because it does create a vacuum in the tank. But yeah, for now there's not much else I need to do. There's a lot of fabrication work which I'm going to try and knock out today and get it all done. I picked up this polyurethane bush. I'm going to use this to make a solid rear engine mount for the car, which I'm also going to run you guys through. So stick around and let's get straight to it. So what I'm quickly going to do, I'm going to take the seat out. It's not mounted in any way. This seat is solid, not going anywhere, but I do need to take it off. There is a small adjustment which I want to make. Once I get that seat off, I'll show you the brackets that I have made, and then what we're going to do is run through the process of making ones for this side, and then we'll mount both seats in and that'll be sorted, and then we can move on from this. I'm very excited to have these bucket seats in the car. I love the look and I love the feel of driving with bucket seats. And for me, because I'm so tall, it's definitely going to help lowering me in the car and making a lot more legroom for me. I'm also going to make brackets for the original seatbelt buckles to clip into on the side so we can retain the standard seatbelts until I put harnesses in. But for now, I'm going to take the seat out, unbolt that seat, and I'll show you what we're working with. So at the moment what I'm doing, there's two 8mm bolts on the actual rails for the bucket seat. So I'm taking these two front ones off. Then what I'll do is slide the seat forward, take the rear two off, and then I'll be able to take the seat out. Alright, so as you can see, I've got a 50x50 angle iron here, and then what I've done on the inside of the rails is put a steel plate with a nut welded on the back. There's 2 steel plates where it's mounted in 2 places that slide in the rails, and then these angle brackets bolt to those plates that sit in the rails. And as you can see, they're super strong. What I'm going to do now is cut all the steel I need for the second set of brackets, and then we'll get straight to it. Okay, so this is the angle that I'm using. What we need from this is 2 lengths 400 millimeters long, and then I've got 5mm thick flat bar. I think it's by 40. To start with, we need 2 lengths of this that's 400 millimeters long. I have actually previously marked it when I did the driver's seat rails, so I'm just going to extend these marks, cut it, and then cut my flat steel bar as well, and then I'll show you what we do next. This is also just flat bar. I think it's 3mm wall thickness. It is quite strong, and I'm going to cut 4 40mm long pieces of this flat bar, and this is what we'll weld the nut to the back of to lock into the rails. Sorry, 4 80mm long. Okay, I'm just quickly going to give this a coat of black. Once we have a solid layer on it and I'm happy with it, we can install it into the car with the gauges. Okay, so I'm just going to let it dry. I'll probably do a few more coats in the background. Once it's all completely dry, then I'll put it outside to cure for a little bit, and by the end of the video we'll have this fitted in the car with the gauges. Currently dealing with 2 angle brackets and 4 of these little plates that I've cut off. What we're going to do is weld a nut to the back of these, and then for one of these I know I need to cut say 10 or 15 millimeters off the bottom for it to fit on the one side. So what I'm going to do now is measure off here and then just quickly trim it with the angle grinder, and then once that's done, I'll show you what we're going to do next. As you can see, I've scribed a line in it. I'm quickly going to cut along that line. Okay, so the way I've done it, these bolts actually are just captive. I've just marked here where these normally line up. I've done all these measurements before for this side, so I'm not going to waste my own time to measure it all for the next side. All I'm going to do is take these off and transfer these holes over to the other brackets. Okay, so this rail that you cut shorter always sits on the outer edge, and the long one can sit on the inner rail because the floor is deep enough, but the floor doesn't go deep enough for the whole extent of this rail to sit all the way down, so that's why you have to cut it shorter. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer these holes over onto these brackets and then drill them out. I also need to drill the holes for these, weld the nuts to the back of it, and after that we should be able to bolt the seat straight in. Okay, so unfortunately I think that my recording app decided to stop recording. It sometimes bugs out. So currently what I'm busy doing is I'm just welding the nuts to the back of these plates. Once I've done that, we're going to let it cool off. What I'll do is mount the seat belt buckles, your seat belt clips into the car. By that time these should have cooled off. We can mount the brackets up, put the seats in, and that'll be the end of that story. I'm just going to get on with it. I'll take you guys along for the ride. Keep watching, and let's get these bucket seats in. Okay, they all look quite good. I'm going to leave them here to cool off. In the meantime, I'm going to mount the seat belt buckles into the car. Once I've done that, these should have cooled off enough, and we'll mount the rails and the seat. Okay, so I'm using these original seat belt buckles off of the normal factory seats. It's got a 10mm hole here. I've got quite a thick washer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a hole further back here and bolt it through the chassis on either side for each buckle, and then tighten it up. Once those are all tight, then we can get the seats back in and check that these all work properly. I've got no doubt that they are going to work and are going to fit and everything's going to pan out, but you know, anything could happen. So I'm going to get straight to it and let's see how it turns out. The reason why I'm putting such a big washer on the back side of it is so that the bolt can't pull through the body of the car or through the chassis. So this increases like the footprint that it's clamped against and will definitely help. Okay, so that one's all in and tight. Very happy with that. I can still move it if I need to once the seats are in, but that's kind of the placement that I was looking at while I was mocking everything up. So I'm just going to get the other side in, and then we can mount the passenger seat bracket and put both seats in. So the way I designed it, this is how it ends up looking once I've welded it. So this rail is kind of always a bit tight. So what I'm going to do is take my trusty persuader and just persuade it into the front. Right, I'm not too sure on the final placement of these yet. So I'm just going to put them roughly where I think they should be, and then I can move them from there as we start bolting everything in. Okay, the inner of the tunnel is a lot wider of the rail, so it makes life a lot easier to slide these in. They don't even need to be tapped at all. I'm just putting all these mocked up in the rails. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this side just because it's easier, and then I'll move on to this side because I need to make quite fine adjustments. This one sits like this. Something along those lines. Everything seems to be lining up so far, so I'm just going to grab my bolts, try get them into the plates where they are at the moment, and hopefully the threads take. Right, so the front one was quite easy. It's already threaded into the nut over there. As you can see, I can't pull it out at all. So I'm just going to try get the back one in and see if we have to struggle at all or if it will go straight in. I found the easiest thing to do is you can take a screwdriver and put it through the hole to now try line it up as much as possible. But I'm just going to get a screwdriver so I can move that inner plate around and then I'll put the bolt through. Okay, so I'm just putting it through the hole. I think I found the plates moving when I move this around, so I think I found exactly where it needs to be. Just double check. Yeah, all good. So let's try get this bolt through. Okay, so that bolt is in now. Very happy with how that's gone together. So I'm going to try line this plate up with all these holes and then let's see how it goes. Don't think it's going to be too difficult. Okay, that seems fairly good. I can see both the nuts through the holes in this bracket here, so I'm just going to feed these bolts through and see if they'll take on the nuts. Okay, so luckily I kind of figured this all out beforehand with the other side. So all I'm going to do is take measurements from the driver's side, match these rail positions to the same as the driver's side, and then I'll tighten all of these down. Okay, I'm going to tighten it down, get the seats in, see how it sits. I can always loosen them under the seats if I do need to shift them around, but I prefer to make sure they're super tight here and then put the seats in and bolt it up. So I'm going to move you guys over this side, fit the driver's seat because I know that fits, then I'll fit the passenger seat afterwards. Let's get to it. Alright guys, so I'm just trying to hold the light there so you can see. There's both the bucket seats in and installed. There's the seat belt buckles in the middle sitting perfectly. It is all a bit dusty still, so I still need to clean it off. But yeah, very happy with how it came out. Both the sliders work. Can't wait to start driving with it. I absolutely love bucket seats. I'm just quickly going to take a seat in here. Ugh. So I couldn't really find the best way to record it because I was sitting in the car and I had to work with my hands. I got this center gauge pod fitted with the oil pressure and water temperature gauges and the hazard switch. Very happy with how they came out, and it faces the driver absolutely perfectly. That's the issue that I was having with it there in the center place there. Whereas when I was driving, I was sitting too high up and I couldn't see it. I wasn't at a good angle. So that's absolutely perfect, so I can monitor it while I'm driving. And over here, you can see there's the boost gauge at the bottom and the air fuel ratio at the top. Also absolutely perfect now. So happy with how this stuff came out. I didn't paint it the best because it is absolutely crazy windy here. And dirt did get into my paint, so at another stage I will take it all out and paint it properly and sand it and blah blah blah. But for now, that's perfect. It's not going to go anywhere. And this is pretty much my view from while I'm driving. Let me get the torch up here. Yeah, this is pretty much my view while I drive. So absolutely perfect. So happy with it, and I can't wait to drive this car again. I miss it so much. All this private work I'm doing, I'm busy saving up to actually get my fuel pressure regulator and to tune this car. So possibly before I go on holiday in December, or more than likely when I get back from holiday in December, we'll be taking this car through to Mace to go get tuned. All I really am looking to do at the moment is I need to get like a center plate that I can mount here to cover up all of this. Mount the fan switches, the start button. I want to mount the ECU and cut out the same face to mount the ECU to that panel, so I can watch all the lights as well as not have to take it off every time we need to plug it in here. I'm extremely happy with everything we got done today. Some major things ticked off my list. This is what it looks like with the bucket seats in. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to drive this car. Everything is coming together so nicely. Very stoked with it. As soon as I get everything sorted in the engine bay, we can pop the bonnet back on, see if that exhaust exit fits, or if I have to cut the bonnet out. So guys, that's all I've got for you today. We got quite a bit done. We got the bucket seats installed, all mounted, buckles in for the seat belts, and we got the gauges and the gauge pod in, which I'm very stoked about. I've been waiting to do that for ages. Unfortunately, as I said, the wind has picked up terribly here. I'm really not listed to sit around in this wind with it pumping in the garage here and carry on working. I think I'm going to call it at that for the rest of the day. I've only got one more thing to weld at the back there for private work. I'm going to do that next week Friday, and then after that I've got all the time in the world to dedicate to working on the project car. Thank you guys for sticking to the end and watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you guys are looking to put bucket seats in your car, I hope this helped. Definitely is the best solution that I've found so far, and definitely the most secure option, as it uses the chassis rails for the original seats. If you enjoyed watching this video, hit that like button. If you aren't already, hit that subscribe button. Everything helps. I'm really trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. The more it's going to help me in the future to get parts for the car and to start more projects in the future. Thanks for sticking around, everyone. Hope you had a lacquer weekend. Keep it real. Check you in the next one.